Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of the Dragon Sentinel. We're just going to finish up an overall overlook of what the Dragon Sentinel is going to bring to the game. That might include some countering, what they counter, what would counter this best, strategies, where they're going to be used the most, and how to best fight against them. Alright, so first off, let's talk about what they counter. It's pretty simple. They counter any ranged unit. So mounted archers, bowmen, crossbowmen, catapults. So overall, they're very effective at dampening the effectiveness of ranged units. So dampening is the key word there. It doesn't straight up counter them, as in, we're going to kill you off because we have big old shields. It's a saying, your damage is going to be less effective against me. So they're still not going to counter, per se, the archers because they're not dealing that damage back. But what could counter these troops better than the ranged units? Well, let's start off with the Imperial Axe Warriors. The reason why these would be a pretty good counter to the shieldmen, especially if the shieldmen are in mass amounts in a dispatch, or say the throne or building, which is really the only time that you could possibly see these T12 infantry being used in like large quantities in one single place. I mean, obviously there's not going to be a lot of L6s being rallied. That's going to be very rare. It's going to happen, but it's going to be very rare, and we'll see how that plays out. But mostly you're going to see these effects where you want to counter this in the throne buildings or something of that nature. So these Imperial Axe Warriors will counter the Dragon Sentinels pretty well. The reason being is because of what we talked about in part 1. They have a very large attack, and their attack is about 50% stronger than the Dragon Sentinels. So that's going to contribute to why they can attack, and they also are going to be able to strike first against these Dragon Sentinels, so they'll get the initial attack, and they'll be able to deal that damage, and their HP isn't that great, but the attack of the Dragon Sentinels is very weak. So comparison, these guys are not really built to be a pure dispatch troop. Another troop type that's actually surprisingly going to be very good, I think, against these T12 infantry is the Imperial Lancers. Reason being is the T12 infantry is essentially a much better T10 infantry, and we already know that T10 infantry dies in droves to any of the Lancers. So Lancers are going to be very effective against the T12 troop type. Now, if you were to try and actually put in a full T12 infantry Dragon Sentinel dispatch in the throne, what would you use hero-wise? Well, it's pretty obvious to me. You're going to use Jansen, and you're going to use Gideon. The reason why Jansen is very obvious because he has that huge buff to the HP, which is one of the biggest reasons why the Dragon Sentinels are good. And you get that reflection damage coming back, like 20%. So that's 20% of damage you're not taking that's being reflected back to whoever is attacking you. And the fact that your HP is so large and you're building up on that 20% is a pretty significant amount of damage. And then obviously Gideon, he's going to be really good with pretty much any infantry that you use, but he does give you that small increase of chance of activating dodge by 10%. So that's 10% damage or dodge. Okay, you're going to be able to dodge dodge some of the damage. We don't know exactly how much that sum is, but you have a 10% chance of that happening, and when you're rallying, per se, with this, you're going to have multiple chances for that to activate, so that's still pretty strong. Also, Gideon's just going to give you the best buffs for your infantry. In addition to that, you could actually consider using Ogdmali, because he also gives that big HP buff with Jansen, and then you also have that 25% decrease in the damage. So those three are the ones that I would consider when coming to a pure T12 infantry dispatch and like a throne building. But I do not actually suggest that. I think that the whole purpose of the Dragon Fang Sentinels is to enable the other troops. So what you're going to be looking at is wanting to use about 10% to 30% of your dispatch to be these Dragon Fang Sentinels. And then somewheres in some aspects you could go much higher than that. Like if you're using a Jansen in your dispatch, you could actually go up to 50 or 60% of this in your dispatch, and you'll be able to utilize that HP and defense and still actually have your T11 infantry in there. And that could be really, really effective. Let's talk about what would go good up against it. Obviously, we're looking at like Mulan and Cavan, or Mulan and Adrian. All three of these would be very successful in getting around them in the first place, and then being able to slaughter them as once you get to them towards the front line. So that would be very good. Now you have to be wary of somebody that is mixing up the dispatch with T11 in there too, because the T11 do a very effective job of countering the cavalry. But Mulan is the biggest reason why you would lose to cavalry as a T12 split combo troop. And then you're also going to look at Bij. Bij is going to be very efficient at killing off, with practically any troop type, at killing off this T10 infantry. Just anytime you can take that much damage without being able to counter, that's going to be huge. Now, Bij did get a little bit of a nerf with just some of the add-ons they did to how his function works. But anytime that you can just go into a spiritual form and dodge attacks coming from melee troops, that's going to be huge. Anytime that you have a huge stat disparity or skill disparity, those troops are typically going to be able to kill off troops that even counter. So an Arata Conan combo could be extremely effective against this T12 infantry dispatches, just because you have such a low attack and you have so much firepower. So you really gotta combo troops. I can't say that enough. You really gotta combo this T12 with other troop types. That is why it's not gonna be like a dominant troop type as far as we can see so far. It's all about enabling troops like the archers, per se. It's going to enable those troops. Because if you put 10 or 20% of T12 in front of a Conan and Arata combo, that's going to be a massive, increase in your ability to kill troops without your archers being killed. And the less archers being killed means more damage coming in each and every single time they fire those arrows within a battle. I mean, I would not, I don't think any of your free heroes like Dolan or Rin are going to be significant enough to enable T12 to be a dominant troop type. I mean, if you have a legendary 6, you're not going to be utilizing Dolan and Ren very often in the first place. So you're not going to see that too much with T12. But what you really got to look at is the dangerous heroes and seeing how they utilize the T12 to enable the other troop types, be that cavalry, archers, or T11 infantry. So that's also something you got to look at when you're getting rallied, or if you're rallying the throne, or even somebody's castle, because you could put T12 infantry inside of a trap castle, and that's going to soak up a ton of damage. It's going to prevent kills, which is huge, especially in KVK. And so these T12s may not be getting you a ton of kills or anything else like that, but what it does is it enables traps to work better. It enables people to prevent kills from happening, which is what we're all going for in the Colossal event. So that is going to be huge. So if you have somebody in your kingdom that's willing to help you out and you want to do some trapping, be that rally or solos, say, hey, I know you're going to get some wounded. Would you mind helping me out and putting in, a whole dispatch of T12s, so that way my other troops can be utilized and get a bunch of kills, and then I can get my points, I can get my things, and I can help our kingdom win. So that's going to be huge. Well, that pretty much wraps up my overview of what I think of the T12 troops. I do really like this troop type. It's not really unique, but what it can do is we can see how much it enables other troops. And that's what I look forward to seeing in the different reports and everything that will be coming as more and more people start to get this and utilize it. I'm really excited to see that. All right, well, let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm wrong, if you think that I missed a few points, and let me know in the comment section. And give me a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Also want to do a quick shout out. 2 YouTubers have been putting out really good content, and I know I've been unable to put out videos as much as I would like to due to some time restrictions. So I wanted to give them a shout out. So EverseenROK, he's been doing this for a while, a little bit off and on for a bit, but now he's like putting out videos like crazy. They're high quality. I agree with pretty much everything that he puts out. So really good video. Check him out, especially if you're like really desperate for content and I'm not there for you. So he's really good. And then ZwineNdine, also really good content creator. She has some really good stuff out there. I check her out too. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.